probably heard the old joke. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. I actually find that joke so annoying. And the reason is because you could practice, practice, practice all you want, but it doesn't mean things are going to get better. So here's the thing. You might be playing, not practicing.
That is your first husband. That you marry it. You cleave to it.
What's the difference? We're going to check this topic out and also 3 strategies so that you will make sure you get practice time in, how to make it count, and also have the enjoyment of playing. So I had a piano student named Jane, and she had a lot of time on her hands, and so she would practice a lot, and then we'd have lessons and she'd make the same mistake over and over, week after week. Why? And finally I just said to her, well, what's going on? And she said, I don't understand. I'm practicing all the time. I practice more than 2 hours every day, and I make the same mistakes over and over. And then I asked her, I said, well, can you show me how you're doing it? How are you practicing, Jane? And she said, oh, I just, start at the beginning. I just play. So I said, Jane, guess what? I hate to break it to you. You're not really practicing. You're playing. And after that, we had a long chat over coffee about what it means to practice instead of play. Are you playing when you should be practicing? Are you actually making the most of your practice time? Well, let's take a look at what playing means versus practicing. So here are my 3 ways to distinguish whether you're practicing or playing. Number 1, practice is work. Playing is fun. This is not something we want to hear. In order to make music, you have to realize that practicing is all about engineering. What do I mean by that? So think about a car mechanic. Okay, so let's say you have some trouble in your engine. You have to bring it to a mechanic. Well, what does the mechanic do? If he can't locate where the trouble is, he has to take the engine apart. He has to look at the parts. He has to be like, okay, is it this? Is it that? And then he has to put the engine back together again. And that is what we need to do when we practice. It's an engineering sort of issue. So that means if you're playing the same passage over and over and over, you're not getting better. You're just rehearsing the same mistakes. Number 2, practicing means having stellar focus.
Bring it! Bring it. Bring what? Bring it.
One time I was washing my cat and she was chasing after a mouse. Or well, before she started chasing after the mouse, what she was doing is she was watching the mouse. The mouse was in a hole, and that cat waited by that hole with rapt focus, totally focused on this hole, and she wanted that mouse. So all she did is stare at that mouse. And honestly, it was probably for 2 hours. And at one point, because I could be really silly that way, I decided to try to distract her, but she would not be distracted. My cat wouldn't take her eyes off the prize. And that's what we need to do too when we practice. Our focus has to be like that cat. We have to zone in and take all those other distracting thoughts completely out. Number 3, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. We've all had teachers tell us, oh, you must practice 2 hours every day. You must practice 4 hours every day, 6 hours every day. But how much practice do we really need? Well, Chopin, who knew a thing or two about the piano, said that really we shouldn't practice more than 2 hours a day. And if we need to practice more than 2 hours, we're probably doing something wrong. So you could spend 6 hours repeating the same passage over and over. Or you could use smart practice and get the job done in less than 2 hours. Which leads us to the question, what constitutes smart practice? For that, we're going to take a look inside this book, Talent is Overrated by Geoff Colvin. Oftentimes as pianists, we think that we need to practice and repeat and repeat and repeat until things are pretty much automatic. But according to this book, that's exactly the opposite of what great performers do. Frequently, when we see great performers doing what they do, it strikes us that they've practiced for so long and done it so many times, and that they could just do it automatically. But in fact, what they have achieved is the ability to avoid doing it automatically. So what should we replace with automatically repeating things over and over? Well, for that, instead of quantity, meaning a lot of time, a lot of repetitions, we should focus on quality. Not only the quality of our repetitions, but the quality of our perception. Perception involves much more than just playing. It involves opening up all of our senses to really get in more information. And perception involves not only hearing the music more deeply, it also means connecting to the quality of the sound. So important. It also means connecting to the emotional content of the music, the visceral feeling of the fingers on the keys, the way your hands look, the way the patterns of the keys look, the way the harmonies sound, the colors of the sounds, the notes, the harmonies. See, we can actually take in more information by perceiving with all of our senses rather than just one sense. A lot of times as pianists, we are either visual, where we're looking at our hands playing on the keys a lot, or we might be more auditory, where we're listening, which is a great thing. But when we involve more of the senses, that sense of touch, that visceral sense of perception of the tone, when we involve our ear and that heart connection to the emotion of the music, now suddenly we perceive much more, which makes our practice sessions even more fruitful, and we get more results in less time. Over the next few practice tips, we will be going deeper into this concept of perceiving more, and we'll use an example in a piece of music, and we'll work together in how we can get more done at the piano, have more fruitful practice sessions, and learn to perceive more in our mind, in our ear, in our heart, emotions, and physicality when we play. If you'd like to get a head start on perceiving through beautiful tone, you can get my free 60-minute training on the golden tone, a secret from the 19th century that has been forgotten in our modern times. And this is available on thegrandmanner.com, so you can download that and get started right away. Thanks so much for watching. Please be sure to subscribe to be the first to know when the next video is uploaded. And I can't wait to hear about your practice and what you're working on, and I look forward to seeing you on the next tutorial. One time I was watching my cat, and she was